Thank you for joining us for today. Really excited. This is an awesome topic, and it is a special edition of Tuesdays at 2. It's a very unique date today, and that is 2/22/22. You don't get that much repetition in a date very often. So if you have not yet pointed out to your child the special uniqueness of today's date, be sure to do that before the end of the day. Okay, the metal inset training, that recording actually should be up later this evening. Just there are some final edits to that. It is on YouTube, but not quite ready for publishing, but that should be available today. And the metal insets, if you are not familiar with that material, that is one of those Montessori things that really could be in every household. It's a writing manipulative that kids have a ball with. It has them tracing and drawing, having a lot of fun, learning proper pencil control, proper pencil pressure, doing all kinds of tracing and art. And in that fun journey, they're actually practicing every single stroke of all 26 letters of the alphabet. So great way, no matter what curriculum you are using, to get your kids to have beautiful handwriting and the pencil grip that lets them write for more than 30 seconds without, saying that they are hand hurts. Okay, so welcome to the Give Your Child the Continent One World at a Time session of Tuesdays at 2. I am Antoinette LaGrossa. I have been with ShillerLearning for a long time now, actually 2004. I am a longtime homeschool mom of 5 kids. If you're not familiar with the ShillerLearning curriculum, we are part of the nonprofit Rising Stars Foundation. Our goal is to help kids of all abilities and backgrounds get the benefits, and they are so many, of a multi-sensory personalized approach like what you are getting with Montessori. So we're excited to share sessions like today with you. Check out our homeschool blog, the YouTube channel. There are replays of some of these sessions, as well as fabulous videos with Larry. Okay, so let's dive in. And hello to Georgia also. So we have some folks from the southeast of the country. I will actually be in your neck of the woods in, I believe, I got a calendar reminder the other day. It might be like 24 days from now for the Great Homeschool Convention in Greenville, South Carolina. If anyone is going to be there, be sure to stop by and say hello. It's always neat to get to meet people in person. We are talking about getting your kids to love world geography and culture. And we live in an incredibly global world today. Information, messages travel the world in mere seconds. And that's just not, for the wealthy. All of us can talk to people around the globe pretty much instantaneously. I have to say, this has been great for me. My oldest is serving in Germany for a year with the Army. So it's really nice. I just press a button and we can have a video call and I can catch up on what is going on in Germany. Our kids are making friends literally around the world through online gaming and communication apps. And our products are coming from around the world. If you've noticed the tensions going on in Ukraine And with Russia, it's going to affect our food prices and our gas prices because of how dependent we are on that global trade. Helping your child to become aware of world geography and culture helps them to be better citizens of the world, more aware of what is going on, as well as helps them to become um, engaged and more interested in digesting historical topics as well. So, to get your child to develop a passion for world geography, first off, make it multisensory. You see that tip in everything we do at Schiller Learning, and we're going to give you some tips for doing exactly that with geography and culture. And then I do urge you to not only include contemporary selections for your tour around the world, but include some historical things as well. It's just going to help to give your child a better, well rounded understanding of the world. And history, of course, is crucial in understanding today's borders and just how things are working. Okay, we at Schiller Learning do have 3 spectacularly priced downloadable resources that for an elementary student can work as a standalone social studies curriculum. And these 3 also work really well together. The Around the World in 80 Activities. This has a 40 book literature list. You've also got the Geography Literature Pack that also shares the literature list. But the literature pack is actually also providing you a narrative to take you through that continent by continent tour of the world. Studying the world by continent gives it to the child in a more easily digestible uh, package. And it also makes sense when it comes to politics and world history, cultures, and things like that. So there's a lot of reasons that doing that continent by continent really makes sense. Of course, you can deviate that from that as the child has interest or topics come up that you're talking about for other reasons. The Around the World Pack gives you tons of multisensory activities to do along with that. And then we have the World Flag Nomenclature cards. That's a brand new release that came out last week, and we are going to look a bit more at all of those. One of the nice things about the literature selections in that you have in those packs is that it gives you living books. One of the things that I found, not just in experience with lots of other children and helping the homeschool families, but my own certainly, was that history especially can be really dry through a textbook. Whereas with living books and multisensory things, kids absolutely love to learn about those. One of the things that you can include in your social studies program, no matter what program you are using, this is one of the things that is included in that Around the World in 80 Activities, are continent boxes. And they are exactly what it sounds like. You will have a box or a basket for each of the 7 continents. And in there, you will add all kinds of things that relate to that continent. It could be animals. You can pull those from your child's stuffed animal or little plastic um, figurines of animals. So if you've got a stuffed kangaroo, that can go into your Oceania continent box. If you have a plastic lion figurine, that can go into your Africa. So you don't need to necessarily go out and spend a ton of money on filling your continent boxes. Sometimes you'll see neat videos or Pinterest pictures of continent boxes filled with things that, were hundreds of dollars. You don't have to do that. First, raid your own cabinets and pantry. You probably already have a lot of things around the house that you just may not be aware of, that you can go ahead and fill those boxes with, as well as some printables that we're going to talk about today. Another way of doing that is with some dry goods from the ethnic sections of the grocery store, or if you happen to live in a multicultural area where you've got actual ethnic grocery stores, that is another neat way of exploring the continents, is to visit that little taste of that continent that is in your own neighborhood and grab some of the things produced there that you can add to your continent boxes. And then, of course, tasting those things as you explore the continent. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the activities as we are talking about those. Dates, oh, dates for the Southeast Homeschool Convention, the Great Homeschool Convention in South Carolina. It is March 17th, 18th, and 19th. So that is our first convention where we're exhibiting this year. Really looking forward to it. The following week, if you are going to be in St. Louis, Missouri for also the Great Homeschool Convention that will be happening there, stop by. I will be in St. Louis also. And then the following week at the Teach Them Diligently convention in Round Rock, Texas. So any of those places in March, do please stop by and say hello. I would love to meet you. Again, if you have any questions, just pop those into that chat box. Chat box is working a little odd for me today. It is just kind of randomly disappearing. Amanda, if you happen to see a question pop up that I don't respond to, if you could just let me know, that would be great. Okay, so one of the things that is another inexpensive tool for you to use in your exploration of the world, geography, and cultures are nomenclature cards. Included in the packs that we have, you will find nomenclature cards on geographical features as well as the world flags. Again, we have that entire pack. Amanda, I don't remember off the top of my head how many cards are in the world flags pack. Can you remind me of that? It is, I think, 240 something.
Oh, I was thinking 253.
Put around there.
I'm not sure where I got that number.
There's a lot, right? Because it's a flag for every country of the world, as well as most recognized territories. It is a massive pack. That one is going to work for your family for a long time in this initial exploration of continents. And then as you get, you can use it as a matching game for even middle and high school students who are studying world history, or again, world geography and culture at a higher level. This is still going to be an awesome resource no matter what the age, because not only can you use it for learning the flags, learning how to read, but just that matching game, using it as a launching pad for conversations, We are going to get into some nitty gritty of how to use the nomenclature cards, but that is one set that is going to be able to be used across, a lot of ages for a lot of different skills. And then you do have the other cards as well. Going to talk about printing nomenclature cards. You can also create your own nomenclature cards using a Word document or PowerPoint and simply print those. The way that nomenclature card printables have always been done in the past, which is what you see on the left, is where it is designed on an 8.5 11 sheet, and then you cut them out, which is perfectly fine if you're only dealing with a handful of cards. But in something like the World Flags set, where there are literally hundreds, gosh, that's going to be a lot of cutting, which again is fine because you tend not to use them all at the same time initially. So you could do that cutting over time. But gosh, what if you didn't have to cut all of those out? And so we came up with a way to do that. And so we have designed those cards to be printed on 3x5 cards, which means almost all of the cutting is eliminated for you. So the only thing that you are going to have to cut would be the label. Not on the control card, that one would be whole. And let's hop into that in just a moment. Okay, we are going to talk about how to use nomenclature cards. In the flags set, there is a 24-page how-to guide that has step-by-step picture instructions on how to present them, the things you say, some tips and best practices to get the most out of them. They are color coded, by the way, for the Montessori continent colors that you see on your screen there. And that's going to help you keep that set nicely organized. The child is not going to need your assistance in that organization because of the color coding. So even a 3-year-old who isn't able to read yet is going to be able to put all of those cards exactly where they belong, even if they were to, accidentally spill them or something. So really designed to, be independent for the child. Also in this, you have charts, again, color coded for the continents with the common country name as well as the formal country name, which interestingly, there are many, many countries that we know just by the common name. So you learn a lot right there in those charts, as well as if it is a territory, the country of control. We do recommend when you're starting off with a young child to start with just the countries. So it's an easier chunk to digest. And then once they master those, then add the territories along with those. One of the things that they're going to just naturally notice is the influence of certain flags in other flags around the world, and how some flags, because some territories, France, for example, a lot of their territories around the world simply use the French flag. Many don't have a flag of their own. And so the child is going to notice, hey, wait a second, why is that flag all over the world? So, just the cards themselves are going to lead into so many interesting conversations, and it'll be neat to see what the kids pick up on. So now, if your printer does not print 3x5 cards, and many of them do, but not all, that's no problem. You can simply choose to print them 8 up to a page, and then you'll see that the border of the card becomes your cutting line for that card. And you can print these 4 up to a page, 6 up, 8 up, really just depends on what size you want your final card to be. But 8 up to a page, that does work nicely. And that size, okay. So as I mentioned, if you are printing on 3x5 cards, almost all of the cutting is eliminated. All you need to do is cut your label away from your picture card. Nomenclature cards are sometimes referred to as Montessori 3-part cards. And you can see on the screen here exactly why they get that nickname. And that is because there are 3 parts to each of the card. You have the control card, which is that card that is not cut, has the picture as well as the corresponding label. Then you have a picture with just a card with just the picture, card with just the label. Now, when we are first introducing cards, we're going to use the control. You can also choose to just use the picture if you are working with a very young toddler who is not anywhere near even letter recognition or pre-reading. But even with that really young child, you can still opt to use the control card with the label because sometimes kids pick up that whole world, whole word, excuse me, language recognition and will start to be able to read even words like Cambodia before they know their alphabet just by recognizing that entire symbol. So up to you, but we introduced these with the 3-period lesson. Uh, these cards, by the way, make an excellent addition to your continent boxes because very easily the child is able to see all of the countries, and they also, in seeing the flags, not just the borders of the countries, are going to get a taste of the culture and the history from the flags. Okay, that 3-period lesson, we start off with first identifying. You will lay down one card at a time. So starting in that, you've heard me say this before, I know, but upper left, so working top to bottom, left to right, lay down the first card. It is good if you are right-handed, if you sit to the left of the child and point with your left hand, it's going to help prevent you from unintentionally blocking part of the child's view as you are pointing to those. So when you're first working with them, you want to let them know what the set is. You know, these are flags from around the world. Maybe show them the flag for the United States if that is your home country. If not, whatever your home country is. So they get a starting point of, okay, what is this that we're even talking about? And then go ahead and start with whatever continent that you are going to start with. Again, up to you, but oftentimes it is more relevant to the child if you're starting off with the continent in which you live, unless of course you're talking about something else in your homeschool studies that sparks interest in another continent. And then naming them. So this is the flag for Cambodia, and then giving your child a minute to look at that. Whether it's a second or a minute, they can, pick the card up and look closely at that picture. If they want to talk about it, ask questions, that's awesome. Follow the child's lead. Then simply go to that next point, Bhutan, next, laying down that third card, Thailand. Now, for uh, young children in Montessori, we tend to introduce things in groups of 3s. That's why I have 3 here. And then once we have done that first period, we go to the second in the 3-period lesson. And that is where now there is recognition. Not having to, verbalize that yet in their identification, but just You can mix up the order of the cards and then point to a card. I'm sorry, not point. You're going to ask, can you show me Thailand? And the child is going to point to that card. Can you show me Cambodia? Can you show me Bhutan? And then once the child is able to do that, they are going to then move to the third period in that 3-period lesson. And then you can mix those cards up again and hold one up and say, what is this? Or point to it. What is this? And go through that series and have them give that recognition and that verbal confirmation of what that country is. Once they are able to do those 3, you can add 3 more to the set. Keep going until you've done whatever that set is, whether it's the geographical landforms or countries of North America. Once they recognize them, another thing that you can do for an emergent reader is then work with the control and label cards. This is a fun matching game. You can also play a traditional matching. We'll talk about how to do that. But with this, you're going to have the control cards off to the side, and you will place, starting in the upper left, working top to bottom, left to right, lay out a series of cards and have the corresponding labels to those in a stack, and then first demonstrate for the child. Take that top label and then working left to right, starting at that top row, pause at each of those cards to see if that matches. And then once you get to the match, place that label with that corresponding picture, continue on with the rest of the stack. Once you are finished, take those control cards and demonstrate to the child, placing the control either above or below the picture and the label to self-check. The nomenclature cards are also a self-checking material. The child doesn't even need you then to see if they have remembered all of the flags of the countries correctly. So it's one of those things they can just work on independently as they are moved to that. Now, for that traditional matching game that we think of where we, take cards and turn them all upside down, you can do it a couple of ways with nomenclature cards. One is simply with the materials that you have, those 3 parts, just use 2 of them. You've got the control and the picture, or maybe the control and the label card, and put those upside down and then finding matching pairs, the control and then the other picture of the flag. You could also print a second set of the control cards so that you have 2 of exactly the same size then. Either one of those is fine, whichever way that you want to do that. Kids tend to love those matching memory games and that mystery of finding the cards that are turned upside down. And again, kids of all ages enjoy that. Another thing that you can use the nomenclature cards for with older children once they are reading is to use them to practice alphabetizing skills. And you can take a set and start off just alphabetizing by that first letter. Then, with that whole world set, you're going to be able to go certainly further in than just alphabetizing by the first letter. So these are an inexpensive tool that you can make at home that you're going to be able to use in so many ways. And then, we do at ShillerLearning have some beautifully produced sets that are in our activity packs, as well as some of our freebies. If you have not gotten the winter activity pack download, there are wildlife in winter nomenclature cards. And I definitely recommend grabbing that while that is still free. Okay, so another thing that's going to help your child absolutely love world geography and culture and help to fill your continent boxes at no cost are going to be keepsakes, which your child makes. We do have ideas for these and printables to go along with them in the Around the World in 80 Activities Pack. One of them, so now you've taken your child through some of the flags of the world. How about having them design a flag for themselves? And in that use of the world flag cards, you can talk about, what goes into a flag. What do the colors of this country's flag represent? What does the crest or the symbol on that flag represent? And then get the child to think about what they stand for and what colors or symbols or crests that they would like to make. You could do this on 8.5, 11 paper, or even a large poster board, or even some inexpensive muslin fabric. And it can go into their continent box. It can be displayed in your homeschool space as well. And along with that, you will find additional art projects for each of the continents that they will be able to, gift to a loved one or proudly display in their learning space, as well as adding to those boxes. So think about things that, from different cultures that your child would be able to participate in. Because learning by doing just makes a huge difference in both their, thirst for new knowledge, their love of the learning process, as well as the retention and recall of that information. As Maria Montessori tells us, what the hand does, the mind remembers. That is true in math, that is true in language arts, and that is true in history and culture as well. Uh, Another classic Montessori work that you will find in that Around the World in 80 Activities, but it is something that, again, you could do on your own, is the Me on the Map. This is really a classic Montessori work that helps your child to understand the bigger picture and then how they fit into that. Montessori is really good at starting off with showing the child the whole and then looking at, okay, how does that whole break down into parts? And also, how does the child relate to that subject? And so with this, we start with the universe, solar system, and then going down to, okay, we're on Earth, and then looking at on Earth, there are continents, and then what is my country, what is my state, my city, my street, my home, and then me on that map. You can have those circles, and then each layer of that, either a hand-drawn or a printable map that is representing each one of those. We have lots of printable maps in the World Flag Nomenclature cards. We're going to take a look at that printable. There are in the Around the World in 80 Activities. Oh, that one looks fuzzy for me. Around the World in 80 Activities, you will have printable map puzzles for the kids to put together and match continents up. This is the world map that they can color to create their own Montessori color-coded map, like we saw in the beginning with that orange for North America, the pink for South America, and so forth. So they can create their own color-coded map to go with their color-coded flag cards. And in the Around the World in 80 activities also, there are pin punch printables so that the child is able to pin punch each of the continents. Is anyone familiar with the Montessori pin punch activities? Or is it, who's new to those? It's another thing in Montessori that really helps with that, those fine motor skills and helping to develop focus and concentration skills. You take you could use just a little safety pin, like a thumbtack with the little plastic knob on it, which very much replicates the knobs that are, it's just about the same size as knobs that are used on Montessori wooden puzzles and the insets, the metal insets we talked about earlier for handwriting, and that helps to develop those muscles that kids need for writing. So going to increase the muscle tone as well as the exactness of their movement and greatly increase their focus, concentration, and patience. Okay, awesome. So Elizabeth, you have worked with those. It is beautiful. And then the child is going to very painstakingly and patiently um, go along the border for those continents and just punch little tiny holes, which they'll be then able to pull that continent out of the paper, and they will have a puzzle map that they can match up onto a printed map, or they can use it for doing different projects. So there are a lot of uses for those. They can even color and hang them in the window then. So there are a lot of things that they're able to do with those. But you can use any of those world, continent, country maps that come in your printables for adding to your Me on a Map activity. But again, these are things no matter what program you're using. Yes, these and tons more are included in our geography trio, but these are things that you can incorporate no matter what program you are using. And it's really going to help your child to absolutely love geography and culture. Did anyone have any questions either on any of the geography activities or anything else in homeschooling that you wanted to chat about today? So yes, you can reach us at support or blog or sales at ShillerLearning.com. And Amanda and I actually, we both get the email that go to that account, as well as a couple other people. So those are all good emails to do. Oh, at convention, actually, yes, we will have special pricing at conventions. We always have great deals, and there's a drawing at each one for a free digital kit, so you can win something great. We will have most events, sometimes depending on the location and the space we have at that event, but most locations we do have an activity table with the insets, the tracing activities with the metal insets. So we'll have papers and insets and materials so they can do a make and take project. I gotta tell you, it is always really neat to see what both children as well as adults do with the insets. have the quinoa tracing tray out at convention as well. And again, people of all ages are attracted to that. And it was funny because there was one event I was talking to a mom and she had multiple ages of kids. So I mentioned to her that kids of all ages enjoy the tracing tray, and that just like, kids who are learning sounds and letters can be tracing their letters, older kids could be practicing math or science formulas. And as I was saying this, she chuckled and she pointed over. She's like, my husband's been in that thing for 15 minutes. So people of all ages definitely enjoy the materials, especially those from that language arts kit A. So the mats for kids to do the pin punch, that is an excellent question. For a DIY solution that you can use at home without having to spend anything, and it's a way of repurposing stuff that pretty much everyone has. The next time you get a package delivered, save the cardboard, and then depending on the boxes, but usually 3 sheets of your packaging cardboard, you can just take a piece of packing tape and tape around the border so that they don't shift. And that's going to be a perfect mat. And you can even take your work mat and put that on top of it. But really, the cardboard alone is nice. And then you can also tape with either masking tape or painter's tape, or even poster putty that's easily removed, secure that sheet to that. And then that's going to be, a mat that, you're reusing something you already have and is probably headed for your recycle bin, and it's completely free. Awesome. Excellent question. Thank you for that. Okay, awesome. It looks like we hit all of the questions again. Hope to see some of you at convention, and we will be back next week